Hey guys, we're back again, and today I want to talk about something a little bit different. There's a bunch of videos that have been popping up online recently about how Ali Lottie destroyed Juice WRLD's legacy, or how Geneva destroyed X's legacy, and so on and so on. And I really want to get down to the core of what this actually means, because I've never understood how you can destroy somebody's legacy after they passed away. Because if you look at the actual meaning of the word legacy, it's a long-lasting impact of a person or event left on the world after it's already taken place. Which means now that X and Juice WRLD have passed away, they've left their legacy and it can't really be affected anymore because they're no longer around to affect it or change it in any way. So when people say that Ali is destroying Juice's legacy, how is she doing so? She definitely is profiting off his death, which is not a great thing to do, but at the same time, how does that affect anything that Juice WRLD did during the time that he was alive? Is it because in future generations when people look back on Juice WRLD they're going to see all this clownery? Well, maybe. I kind of understand that, but that's not really destroying his legacy because his music and the person that he is the person that he is. It definitely adds a little bit of weirdness around it, but in the long term of things, people aren't going to remember all the crap that Ali Lottie's doing right now. If Juice WRLD really will stand the test of time, they'll remember the music and the life that he lived. They won't remember the stuff that happened after he died besides just a little footnote. But honestly, I don't even think that's what people are talking about when they say that Juice WRLD's legacy is being destroyed. I think it's actually something a little bit deeper. Because when it comes to people like Juice WRLD, XXXTentacion, and especially Lil Peep, a lot of fans have this picturesque version of them in their head and they can't imagine them ever going out of that box that they have put them in. When somebody passes away, basically all their sins are washed away because nobody really wants to talk ill of a dead man, but at the same time, these were people who made mistakes, they did bad stuff in their life, they weren't these perfect angels that came down to earth and then passed away because they're just too good to exist. And don't get me wrong, I never knew any of these people, so I can't really speak on their character, but I'm just saying we all know that X was kind of a crazy guy, he was getting into fights all the time. That doesn't take anything away from the music that he left behind, but if all you want to remember about X is when he had the blue hair and he was very poetic and he would talk about life, that's fine, but that's not all there was to him. That's not his entire character. People are definitely going to try to make him look like that after he passed because it's more marketable, but he was more of a person than that. And then there's Juice WRLD. Was he a drug addict? Definitely, but there's probably a lot of people around him that were doing drugs at the exact same frequency as him. It just happened that he took too many at one point and overdosed. It was an accident, it was a mistake, but things happen, right? I can tell you at the time that Juice WRLD was alive, nobody believed that he was going to pass away or overdose. There might have been people in his inner circle who really saw what was going on, but when it came to the fan perspective, nobody was talking about that. And I'm not talking about some little Reddit group where people are talking about how he might overdose. I'm talking about his actual Instagram comments, his YouTube comments, where fans actually were. You want to know what people were doing to Juice WRLD the week before he passed away? Here's a little piece of history that people won't often tell you. In 2019, there was a group known as Shoreline Mafia, and one of the guys was named OGZ. He was skinny for a long time. A lot of people really loved him because he looked like a cute little white boy, but he was actually Mexican. And he ended up putting on a lot of weight after the group started making money, and they put out a music video where it was the first one you could really see how much weight he had gained. It was called Wings, and a lot of people were like, oh man, OGZ be eating those wings. And that became kind of a joke and meme online about how he got so fat. But then after that, Juice WRLD put out the Bandit video, and this is the first time you could really see his fat gut. And a lot of people on Reddit were like, why is Juice WRLD so fat in the Bandit video? And everyone's like, it's because he was always fat. And then people were like, okay, Juice WRLD really be eating the wings with OGZ, man, lean with me, more like eat with me. Everybody in the comments was making fun of him for being fat, and then he passed away like 1 week later, and all those comments suddenly disappeared. And I'm not dredging that up to try to be negative, but I'm just saying that not everybody in the comments was like, oh my god, Juice, you're dying in front of our eyes. They're making fun of him because they didn't think anything was going to happen. Nobody realized the levels of drug addiction that the guy was going through. But that was all in 2019, and bear with me here because this is going to sound screwed up, but Juice WRLD was basically the perfect rapper to pass away for Grade A to really capitalize upon. Think about it, he made so much music that they can release songs for years and years and years, so he never really has to fade away in that way, and on top of that, his image was so clean that it works out better. You see, when Pete passed away, a lot of people really started to take notice of him, but after all, he wasn't that big, he was still kind of underground, so they couldn't market it as well. X, when he passed away, he was huge, but he had all those unsavory charges on him, but when Juice WRLD passed away, oh man, they got a winner there. And this isn't me trying to talk ill on a dead man, don't get me wrong, but I have to say that I feel like Grade A might have been slightly happy when it happened because it's like, we have the perfect passed away rapper. Let's market it to all the Zoomers and all the people who never listened to Juice WRLD in the first place. He'll be this fallen legend that passed before they even got the chance to know him. This true emo rapper who talked about emotions, even though he didn't like to be called an emo rapper and he really only made 2 songs in that style. But that doesn't matter. He did drugs and he passed away from a drug overdose. So after all, he must be sad. That's the place that we have to put him in. That's the box we're going to put him in. And then we're going to put him in Fortnite. And even better, we'll put this new rapper that we have signed right beside him, put them on tour together to make it seem like they're best friends, even though Juice is a 21-year-old and Kid Laroi is 16 and a 21-year-old and a 16-year-old are not going to be best friends. Y'all are mad at Drake right now for hanging out with Millie Bobby Brown, but you think it's okay for Juice WRLD to be best friends with Kid Laroi. That's a joke, by the way. That's a joke. That's a joke. But let's be honest, he wasn't. He wasn't best friends with them. And he wasn't his mentor either. They put the two of them together on tour. They kind of positioned them around each other because they're both signed to the same label. I'm not saying Juice WRLD didn't like Kid Laroi, but it was more like a work buddy type of situation. I mean, look at the music video for Go. Juice WRLD definitely seems like he doesn't even want to be there. And if you listen to his verse, it's kind of half-assed too. It's kind of like 5 lines, 6 lines. I'm not saying they weren't friends, but I'm just saying, do you see how the legacy is already changing after Juice passed away? He's being called an emo rapper when he's never considered himself that. People are talking about how everybody knew he was going to overdose even to this day, even though that was never a factor. And then people are talking about how he's a mentor to Kid Laroi when he never really was. So already everything that Juice is about isn't even stuff that Juice was doing when he was alive. But that's how they're marketing it. They're marketing it to people who never even knew about Juice WRLD when he was alive. And it's the same with XXXTentacion. People are like, he was such a poet with a broken heart. This guy was out there fighting, stabbing people, going crazy. And that's literally okay. That's fine. That's the person that he was. And it doesn't mean that he was a bad person or an evil person, but I'm just saying that a lot of people have these picturesque versions of these rappers in their head, and when it's broken they get upset. But just because this weirdo parasocial version of them that you made up in your head is now ruined doesn't mean their actual legacy is being destroyed. There's really only one way to destroy somebody's legacy, and that's to put out a bunch of bullshit features and albums that they would have never approved. I gotta agree that Skins and Bad Vibes Forever definitely hurt X's legacy in some way, but at the same time 17 and Question Mark still exist. There's nothing that's going to be taken away from that music that he put out when he was alive, and unfortunately him passing away at the age that he did, we were never going to get that third album that really hit home just like those two. I really think those albums only come off as so bad because we're left thinking what could have been. I mean, damn, we could have had another Question Mark, another 17, but instead we have this half-finished project which just sounds like it has no soul in it, to be honest with you. I don't want to see all those comments saying Skins is actually pretty good, because you know what, it doesn't live up to 17 and Question Mark, and if you're saying that it does, you're trying to fool yourself. Be honest, does it actually live up to those? No, it doesn't. But Grade A has also put out some pretty bullshit albums under Juice's name. I mean, I know they're a little bit better because he made a lot more music before he passed away, but they're not structured right. The thing that makes Goodbye and Good Riddance so special is because if you listen to every song in order, you can almost catch a story of what's really going on. And I'm not saying they could have done that after he passed away because that would have been impossible, but even the tone of the album is messed up. I mean, look at Fighting Demons. They started that album off with one of the darkest Juice WRLD songs ever, where he's talking about being in hell with perks and everything. Hands up in the fire. Burn, 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 burn. And the very next song is Wake Up in the Morning, Do My Goddamn Thing. Yeah, wake up in my dick, it's gonna swing, swing, swing. Like, bro, what are you doing? But all that's to say is there's no real way to destroy somebody's legacy after they're passed away. The only way that a legacy can get destroyed is by the own actions of that artist, whether they're alive or dead. Which brings us to my final example, Lil Peep, because I feel like people have the most parasocial relationship with Peep out of anybody. And they built up a picture of him in their head that just doesn't make sense whatsoever. I mean, Juice WRLD is kind of the same way, but he's more broader, so there's a lot more people that really listen to him and there's more diverse opinions, but Peep has such a small fan base, they all kind of get in this echo chamber and start repeating the same opinions over and over again, trying to say that Peep wasn't a drug addict. I don't know how many videos I've made where people are like, you just need to leave him alone. It's been 7 years. You need to let his legacy rest. All I'm doing is talking about his life, and his life is his life. It happened the way that it happened, and I'm sorry if that destroys some sort of picturesque version of him in your head, but if it does, you're just gonna have to accept it. I'm not sitting here and lying about Peep or trying to destroy him or try to tear him down in any way, but he was a person. He was a good person from what I heard. A lot of people really enjoyed his presence and they thought that he was a good guy, but he wasn't this angel that came down from the heavens to bless the earth. And if he didn't pass away, half of you wouldn't even be bumping him right now, because it's that Kurt Cobain effect where after they pass away, you love everything they've ever done. They've never been a bad person. They've never hurt anybody. They've never been in a bad situation, and that's just not the case. I feel like even after somebody passes away, you should be able to talk about every aspect of their life. Like, what about Michael Jackson? People love his music. He went down as a legend, but you guys keep drudging up the same old thing about him being a With Peep, you can't even bring up the fact that maybe he might have been a drug addict, that maybe he might have done heroin once.
I made that song, my mom's bedroom on heroin.
If you try to say that to anybody in the Peep fan base, they're going to be like, oh my god, that never happened, but yet he passed away from really hardcore drug use. Like, you have to accept that that's what was going on. It wasn't anybody around him that was evil or putting anything in his drugs or trying to destroy him. It was the fact that he just did too many drugs and passed away. That doesn't make him a bad person. Doing drugs does not make you a bad person, but at the same time, we have to accept that Peep was a human, Juice was a human, and X was a human, Mac was a human. They all were humans. And after they passed away, the people around them and the companies around them tried to market them them in a way where they seemed more legendary than they really were, and that doesn't take anything away from them, but we have to accept that there's more to the story than what we're seeing. So next time you see a video talking about how somebody's legacy got destroyed, try to think about what their legacy actually is, what they would have wanted their own legacy to be, and what you think about them in your own head. Because if more details coming out about somebody that you love somehow destroys your entire perception of them in your head, then you probably had a false perception of them in the first place. I understand that these men should be allowed to rest in peace, but there are other people around them that love them, that, had problems with them in the past, that are still dealing with the repercussions of what's going on. It's not okay to continue to bully and destroy people and go after people non-stop when we don't really know what they're dealing with from the death. Like, we should definitely respect their legacy and the sanctity of their death, but at the same time, they don't have any more emotions about what's going on, so we need to respect the people that are actually alive and still dealing with stuff. Because the internet tends to like to push people right to the edge, and then when they pass away, all of a sudden they're a legend and it should have never happened and the people who did it were evil, but the same people who did that in the first place are the same people who are saying rest in peace after it happened. That's all I gotta say. If you don't believe me, stay tuned, because I got another video coming up soon about an artist that a lot of people don't talk about as much as these other ones, and how they ended up kind of getting bullied to the point that they ended up passing away. But anyways, that's my entire spiel. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and kind of understand where I'm coming from before just getting angry and saying, what the heck, why are you disrespecting Juice WRLD, X, and Pete? But I mean, if that's what you think, can't fix stupid, so, it is what it is. Appreciate you guys for watching, sticking it out. Subscribe to the channel if you like it, like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you disliked it, and besides that, shout out Knife Gang. See you in the next one. Oh yeah, and I got a second channel too, so if you want to subscribe there as well, go ahead. But most of you probably didn't stick to the end, but if you did, leave a pig emoji in the comments below, because the people who didn't stick to the end won't know what's going on. So appreciate you guys. Peace.